All right, everyone. I have a great thread from Comrade Fudge, aka at HNI John Miller on Twitter. He starts by quoting a tweet from Wikileaks. Wikileaks tweets 10 years ago today. WikiLeaks published Collateral Murder, a classified U.S. military video documenting the killing of civilians and two Reuters journalists. WikiLeaks' Julian Assange remains imprisoned for exposing war crimes to the world. Comrade Fudge responds. What WikiLeaks cut out when they released their Collateral Murder video? The two journalists hanging out on a street corner with insurgents who did have weapons, thus the helicopter pilot's confusion, and the helicopter asking for permission several times before opening fire. The children never appeared in the video, nor was there ever any indication they were present. The vehicle that was shot had been fired at as a warning earlier, left, then came back. The journalists were using a route to approach U.S. ground forces that insurgents had been using all day to attack them, and they had been given that route by the insurgents they were hanging out with earlier. I saw Colbert break character once. What you see on the Colbert Report and his Late Show, that's not Colbert. He's just a dude following a script to deliver punchlines. But Assange went on the Colbert Report, and I saw him break character once and tear into Assange. Assange put up a 2-minute collateral murder video and a 30-minute cut of the video, which still wasn't the entirety of what Assange had leaked to him. Colbert pressed him on that because even the 30-minute cut paints a vastly different picture compared to the 2-minute video. This was my first encounter with what Carlos Osueda explains as accountability journalism. Journalism where the truth doesn't matter. It's what the journalist frames the facts as that matters, so that someone can be held accountable for some perceived outrage. Assange is an avowed socialist. Socialists love their journalists. Every authoritarian leftist regime has made sure they had a loyal core of press propagandists to smear their enemies and distract from their fuck-ups. Accountability journalism is the newest name for their shit. See, in Assange's eyes, it doesn't matter that the Reuters journalists were embedded with insurgents who most likely were being trained and equipped by Iranians. Curious how WikiLeaks doesn't seem to expose Iranian corruption now, isn't it? It doesn't matter to him that this was a war zone. It doesn't matter that the U.S. was engaged in ludicrously strict rules of engagement to specifically avoid civilian casualties, which kept the helicopter from opening fire at the larger group of a dozen clearly armed insurgents earlier. It doesn't matter to him that the only indication that children were in the vehicle wasn't even in the video, which again had been chased off earlier under the rules of engagement that kept it from being fully fired upon, only to Leroy Jenkins back into the shooting was happening. Oh well, they were cheering. The pilot had believed they positively identified enemy forces that were going to attack their comrades. They were on a weapons platform designed to rain down hell on any motherfucker stupid enough to look like a threat. And Luke Skywalker cheered when he shouted, "I got one!" when he shot down his first TIE fighter. And Han Solo let out a big yeehaw when he and Chewie blasted the TIEs behind Luke in the Death Star trench, and many other triumphant cries when the good guys blast the baddies. Congratulations. Humanity is a violent species who will engage in fistfights over fucking toilet paper. We've been conditioned as a culture to let out triumphant war cries when our enemies are driven before us, to cheer when we are victorious, to watch clips of PUBG sniping the driver of a vehicle, and the now driverless vehicle hitting another opponent causes cheering. Because we are a bloodthirsty species. We, as Americans, are a combat and strife-addicted population amongst a species which already is prone to conflict anyway. Why do you think soccer will never take off here, but football did? Because in soccer, if a hand comes within a foot of your opponent, he's going to crumble like a little bitchling and cry until a foul is called. In football, it's not a full career until you get brain damage. So, just like that Aussie kangaroo cock-sucking Assange, you want to say, fuck every indication that these people were either enemy insurgents or utterly fucking retarded. It being a war zone and them hanging out with confirmed insurgents, it looked like the former. Assange used the same defense. Oh, they enjoyed it too much. Clearly they were barbaric and these were war crimes. This is where Colbert broke character and went for the jugular. The 2-minute clip had all the laughing, the shooting, the hell being rained down. Sure, focus on the laughing. Ignore the prior 28 minutes straight of the pilot agonizing as they saw well over a dozen insurgents who were clearly holding AKs and RPGs only to be denied permission to open fire. Ignore the clear stress as the pilot was begging for permission. See, that's what no one talks about when it comes to the people providing air support as they sit and watch. They don't talk about the agonizing wait as you sit there, knowing your intervention will save your comrades' lives. The push of a button will deliver them from danger. Wikileaks posted the 30-minute clip. It was a two-plus hour video originally that revealed the full scope of insurgent attacks U.S. troops involved had already suffered. Wikileaks hid that alongside the 2-minute clip. Don't watch. Listen to the audio. Listen to the stress creeping in. Accountability journalism is not journalism. It is propaganda to achieve specific political ends. The New York Times, the Washington Post, Assange, they're not journalists. It's why they keep calling Kumar Kashdongle or whatever the fuck that one dude's name is a journalist too. He isn't one. These people are all universally terrified that the minute the masks are pulled off, that their accountability journalism is exposed to the propagandistic sham that it is, that their world falls apart, that their efforts will be their own downfall. That's why, when you push back on the accountability journalism stories like the ones trying to paint Trump's administration as botching the coronavirus response, any other information you bring in is mocked as, quote, alternative facts and thus dismissed. Context is not alternative facts. It is all of the information that these motherfucking propagandists disregard in order to create a blame, so they may pin that blame on a political enemy to hold them accountable. That's right. They create the blame they smear opponents with. When you push back against the stories, they mock you as using alternative facts because they proclaim themselves to have a monopoly on information, and it is inconceivable that you would hold as much or more than they, so they would have everyone else believe. It's like an industry-wide Dunning-Kruger effect in which they don't know how anything fucking works. Like Assange not understanding the rules of engagement in a war zone, and so they discard anything that goes against the story they constructed and mock you for doubting it. WikiLeaks is manipulative. Assange is fucking stupid. There is no real courage there. There's no real integrity. The journalist who revealed the Panama Papers was killed by a car bomb when investigating a bank in Malta tied to the IRGC's international money laundering. Were the Panama Papers published by WikiLeaks? Has anything targeting Iran ever been published by WikiLeaks? No, on both counts. Want to know why? Well, let's dig into that. Let's say Clinton had won and had gotten her no-fly zone over Syria. We'd be fighting Russia and Iran. Ever wonder why the news pushed back on Clinton for that of all things? And which part of the Dem Party is Iran's proxies most closely aligned to? Heshmat Alavi has revealed this in stunning detail so many times. The far left. Because Iran is an Islamic National Socialist regime. Why did WikiLeaks try to knock out Clinton? Why did the Panama Paper journalist who was investigating IRGC money laundering avoid WikiLeaks like the plague? Why was Assange and WikiLeaks, with the release of the collateral murder video, siding with Iran-backed insurgents in Iraq? Why did WikiLeaks reveal their State Department cable leaks, the names of all those worldwide who'd been working with us against groups that Iran was allied with, funding, training, etc.? Because Assange and WikiLeaks aren't working with Russia. Assange and WikiLeaks are working with Iran.